Hello and welcome to my new blog, Happily Educated. I appreciate that you are taking the time to watch this video. In this first post, I will just be introducing myself and the blog. So I'll tell you a little bit about why I'm doing this and what you can expect to see in future posts. So I am Abigail McHugh-Grifa. I am a PhD candidate and cello teacher in Rochester, New York. I'm married to a wonderful man named Jeff and have an adorable dog named Blaze, who may be making some guest appearances in these videos as she comes around to get attention. So for the past several months, we've been involved in a pretty intense do-it-yourself home renovation project. So as you can see, we don't have any walls. But even though our house is not put back together, we decided that we needed to slow the pace of the project to get back to living somewhat normal lives. And for me, this really means getting back to work on my dissertation, which had been neglected there for way too long. Anyhow, so I'm getting a doctorate in music education, and for my dissertation, I'm studying how social relationships influence musical development. So in some future post, I will tell you all about my study, and in many future posts, I'll tell you about the interesting studies and theories that I've learned about throughout my graduate degree program. As for why I'm doing this blog, research shows that people who have more education are generally happier than people with less education. And I think I'm a pretty good real-life example of that, actually. I truly believe that my education, both formal and informal, has helped me to lead a joyful and satisfying life. And of course that means, that I want to help increase other people's education so they can reap the happiness benefits as well. I suppose as a teacher that I do this every day, but really when I teach, I only get to share my musical knowledge. And as it turns out, I happen to know a few things about other topics as well. And so this blog is where I will be sharing my non-musical knowledge. Now, it's certainly possible that I would be happier than most people even without my education. I've led a very privileged life. My trials and tribulations have been relatively few. I've never had to struggle to survive. I've never undergone any horrible tragedies. So I've had it pretty easy in that respect. Furthermore, studies show that some people are just biologically, naturally wired to be happier than others. And I think it's quite possible that I am one of those biologically wired to be happier type of people. But even with those advantages, I haven't always been deeply and consistently happy. Although I think recently I've made a lot of progress in that area, and I think my education has quite a bit to do with it. I think a major contributor to this recent progress was my realization that I could purposefully and strategically seek out learning opportunities that would make my life better. This was a hugely empowering revelation for me, and I'm actually rather embarrassed to say that I didn't figure it out sooner, like years and years ago. But it's also the big message that I want to convey in this blog. In my view, happiness does not simply come from gaining knowledge, but rather from using your knowledge to make informed decisions about how you can live your life. And so therefore, the more knowledge you have, the better decisions you can make. So let me give you just a quick example of the kind of thing I'm talking about. About 2 years ago, I decided I needed to learn more about personal finance because we were broke and it was totally stressful. So within the span of a few months, I read probably 8 personal finance books. And based on the advice in those books, my husband and I made a number of changes in how we save and spend our money. And as a result, we are no longer broke and I no longer spend a lot of time worrying about money. So essentially, I am happier, and all it took was a little bit of self-directed learning. And so that's sort of the kind of thing that I'm going to be talking about in this blog. I have 3 main goals for this blog overall. The first is to educate people about things that I have learned that have helped me lead a happier, better life. The second is to encourage people to seek out educational or learning opportunities that are relevant to their own personal situations. And the third is to inspire people to use what they learn to make informed decisions in their daily lives that will contribute to their personal happiness and well-being. So I hope that sounds like something that might interest you. And just a couple of additional details. Every post will be available in both video and text format, but don't bother with both because they will be virtually identical. I will probably be posting about 2 times a week, I think, and At present, I'm aiming for Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that very well, or no, I take that back, Tuesdays and Fridays, but that may change, and so just no promises there. And third, I definitely welcome your comments and your feedback, but please don't be offended or hurt if I don't respond. I'm going to attempt to maintain very strict, limitations on how much time I spend blogging so that I don't neglect my other responsibilities, namely my dissertation. So again, please comment, but if you don't hear back from me, it's not that I don't value your comments. Anyhow, please check back in a few days for my first real post. And again, thank you so much for watching this.